What's up, everybody? It is the Best Spot Kid Smooth, and I'm back with another video. And today I want to talk about Gotham Knights. Yes, man, Gotham Knights. Let's talk about this right quick. Gotham Knights has confirmed to be locked at 4K 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series X and the PS5. Clearly, it's probably going to be 1080p or 1440p 30 FPS on this Xbox Series S. However, there's no cap on the PC version, logically, obviously, depending on your build. Now, there's a couple issues about this, right? Remember, they dropped the last gen version of this game. So if the last gen version of this game ever saw the light of day, I mean, what could they have possibly been targeting on the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One X, or the base Xbox One, or the base PS4? Couple issues I have with this is that the game doesn't look next gen, current gen at all. It doesn't look better than 2015's Arkham Knight. And I think that game was limited. One of those Arkham games was like limited to like 45 frames per second. But they blamed stupid shit, right? First it started out as a rumor, and then somebody from their PR team came through and said, had confirmed. They said, I know many of you are wondering about the availability of a performance mode for Gotham Knights on consoles. Due to the type of features we have in our game, like providing fully untethered co-op experience in our highly detailed open world, it is not straightforward as lowering the resolution and getting higher FPS. For this reason, our game does not have a performance quality to option and will run at 30 FPS on consoles. Now, I think that is a blatant mistake. Now, people forget that Gotham Knights is going for a whopping $70. The good old PlayStation tax price on all consoles that the Gotham Knights is going for. So this is being treated as a truly next-gen game. And the best they can offer us is 4K 30, something that the Xbox One X has been doing right now for about the last 5 years. I don't buy it. So nobody else buys it. So people wanted answers. People wanted answers and demanded answers. And so one of the developers, I think, had a different WB studio. He says, I wish gamers understood what 60 FPS means in terms of all the things they lose to make the game run that fast, especially taking into account that we have a current gen console that is not much better than the last gen one. And then Pete says, interesting. I'm genuinely wondering where would be the bottleneck, if there is any, in the latest consoles. Do we have already datas on that? Or are these consoles globally balanced? And he says the Series S GPU mostly. Multi-platform games always have to optimize for the lowest performer. Okay. And he says, I mean, the Series X is much more powerful than the Xbox One, but yeah, he said the Series S exists though, and Microsoft won't let you launch on one without the other. And an entire generation of games hamstrung by that potato. He called the Xbox Series S a potato. Oh man, do I have to do this? He called the smallest next generation console. This current little thing has more games running at 120 frames per second than the much massive PlayStation 5. So let's think about that for a little bit. We have the Xbox Series S. He's blaming the Xbox Series S for Gotham Knights being 30 FPS on the PlayStation 5, which is not an Xbox console, and the Xbox Series X. They use the same excuse, lowest common denominator, right? Well, by that, PC will always be the lowest common denominator because you don't know what people are playing on. Isn't I think the minimum, it's like the recommended spec is like a 1660 or something like that. How old is that GPU? Like, that doesn't make sense. I can like if this game is, you have to run the game on a PC. So I mean, there's a large mini scale of range of different PC builds. Not everybody has the same CPU. Not everybody has the same GPU. Not everybody has the same RAM. Not everyone has the same storage space or storage speeds. So can we really use that excuse? Everybody who has an Xbox Series S has the same Xbox Series S. Same with the Xbox Series X. And many developers who've had mentioned their issues about the Xbox Series S all managed to release games that ran at 60 FPS on the Xbox Series S. Even when games that were coming out in 2021 that were coming in hot, even 2020 and 2021, games were coming in hot, pandemic and everything, where you got 60 FPS on the Series X, but some of those games on the Series S were still 30, just to be updated to run at 60. Assassin's Creed is 60 FPS on the Series S, Watch Dogs Legion, and all these much Far Cry 6, all these much bigger games. We have Doom. I think the developer of Doom, before they were acquired by Microsoft, they had expressed their concerns of with the Xbox Series S, and they managed to get 120 frames on the Xbox Series S and Doom Eternal and whatnot. Like, so that's not an excuse, dude. That's not an excuse. Oh, because there's next generation games that are 60 FPS on the Xbox Series S. Once again, the Xbox Series S has more 120 frames per second games than the PS5. And now you want to blame the Series S for the PS5 and the Series X version of games being 30 frames per second, when we had prime examples of when games were coming in hot, the PS5 and Series X versions was able to be 60 frames per second, and then the Series S came in at 30 frames per second. So if that was an issue, it's like, all right, well, the Series S has to be 30 frames per second just for it to update at 60. So now, I think, what games launched like that? I told you Assassin's Creed started out with, they had no performance mode. Now it does. Cyberpunk originally had no performance mode. Now it does on the Series S. What's the game? Dying Light 2. Now it has a performance mode. So in this game, been in development for a pretty long time. These guys don't put out games as often as they used to. So these are poor excuses. And then you got people like, shout out to Red Dragon and Chris Righteous for who's on Planet Xbox, try to share this narrative like, oh, I told you, didn't want to bring up old ass articles of developers sharing their concerns, not knowing all the time. There's been 2 years since those articles came out, and all that happened in those 2 years is developers managed to find ways to get games running at 60 FPS on the Xbox Series S in 120 frames per second. So yeah. So people want to put up these stupid polls. Do you believe a fanboy or you believe a developer? This dude, this particular developer, I don't even think is working on that particular game, right? And it's just an excuse. The same developer said, pay us what we were worth. He tried to come up with some damage control, like, games, $60 games in the year 2000 was worth is equivalent to $93. Pay us with if you put out subpar garbage, I will not buy. Like, my standards have risen for video games. Gotham Knights was going to be a default game that I buy, and I'm still probably going to buy it. I just won't buy it for the Xbox or the PlayStation. I'll buy it for PC because for some reason they thought the game needed to be $70 for the series consoles and the PS5, but it can remain this old last gen price on a PC. Why is that? What's the difference? You got an inferior version on consoles, a weaker version on consoles, and it's cost more. Why? And a lot of people, like I said, a lot of fanboys or people who claim to not be fanboys are running with this. They're happy about it because they think they feel justified because they finally found a game that someone alleged they found an alleged example of the Series S holding back the Series X and the PS5, and that's not the case. This is literally an outlier, because if that's the case, more games coming up moving forward should show the same example. There's no way that Forza Horizon 5 should be 60 frames per second on a Series S. There's no way that Bright Memory Infinite with those graphics at that fidelity should be 120 frames on the Xbox Series S. There's no way that Gears is limited to 60 FPS. It should be limited to 30 FPS. Like, come on. Halo Infinite offers a 30, 60, and 120 hertz mode, but the default mode is 60. So yeah, like I think it's BS. Gotham Knights, I mean, I feel for them because being a next gen only game and you're limited at 30 frames per second, I'm sorry, I'm not really interested. I'm not really interested in it. I wasn't really all that interested in the game. I thought it could be, you know, a sleeper. Like I said, I may buy it on PC. That way I know I can play. For my PC, I should be able to play above 60 frames per second, no problem. The thing is that what PC gaming is, it's just not as comfortable or it's not as convenient as console gaming. But I'm not trading off that performance metrics. I'll save some money and I will get the better version of the game, and that's the version I'll just be playing. But yeah, they should really consider some sort of performance mode. He's blaming the Series S GPU. Nah, dude. People figured out and you should have stuck with the original excuse: untethered multiplayer. That's probably what you should have stuck with. Okay, well, why not? You know, you don't have to play this game online. You can play this game solo. So I'm not buying it. And I don't care what anybody else says about it, how they feel with just because he's a developer that gave some sort of credence on all the other games. Well, explain every other game that runs 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X. Explain every other game that runs 120 frames per second on Xbox Series X. There are last gen games that look and are obviously more demanding than Gotham Knights. I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk 2077 on console is more demanding than Gotham Knights. I'm almost certain. So yeah, man, I'm not gonna buy this excuse. I'm not gonna buy this excuse. It's stupid. 4K 30 frames per second. Not as simple as, okay, so something, maybe it's your system. Maybe it's your engine. Something you got in developing that game, you couldn't achieve 60 frames per second. And maybe it is user skill. But this video is being done because I'm sick of people, like, we shut this shit down a long time ago. This whole Series S being the bottleneck. It doesn't make sense because they gave us time and time again too many examples of why it shouldn't be. Because the Series X exists with its own specs, the PS5 exists, and it's not even an Xbox platform with its own specs. If that's the case, the PS5, since it has no connection to the Xbox, should be able to be 4K 60, right? Penalize the Xbox version, right? If the development side, yeah, you have to release the game on the Xbox Series S, but it doesn't have to run exactly the same. So you're telling me if the Xbox Series S version didn't exist, this game could be 4K 60 on the Xbox Series X and PS5? How does that make sense? Think about it. How does that make sense? Because you can make the Series S version, it's really, I mean, you guys are still finding ways to put games on the Switch, but yeah, I digress. So that's my video. Like I said, anybody who believes this is running with this narrative, this narrative that the Series S is holding back the PS5 and the Xbox Series X for Gotham Knights. Have you seen a game? Have you seen the graphics? Have you seen what that game looks like? It looks like a certified PS4 and Xbox One game. It does not look like a next generation game. It doesn't. And if you believe that, if you believe this mess, dude, stay off the government weed. It's not good. That weed is no good. Stay off of it because it got your brain cells all jacked up and you guys believe anything. But we know what it is. It's narratives. People want to, have to march with their opinion. You know what I mean? Anything that makes Xbox look bad, they got to march on it and they have to fight for it until next thing comes up. But that's my video. Hope you guys enjoy. I will see you guys on the next video. As always, Xbox is the best box. I am the best spot. Good night or good morning. If you're on the other side of the globe, I am out of here. Peace.